Today we're going to be going over how to build this simple 3D printed shoulder rig. For this project, you're going to need multiple M4 socket head cap screws. 8 of them will be 14 millimeters long, 2 of them will be 18 millimeters long, 8 of them will be 30 millimeters long. You're going to need 18 M4 nuts and then 2 1/4 inch by 20 socket head cap screws that are 1/2 inch long. Moving on to parts needed for the shoulder rig, you're going to need 3 1-foot long 15 millimeter rods. You're going to need 2 handles, 1 shoulder plate, a perpendicular rod holder, the base plate for the camera, and then 4 of the rod spacers. Start by attaching screws to the bottom of the rod spacers. Afterwards, attach the base plate onto the rod spacers and make sure to put in your 1/4 inch 20 screws through the base plate. For the shoulder plate, you want to attach it in this manner. Start by putting in the screws underneath the rod spacer as well as the perpendicular adapter. Afterwards, you want to join both of these pieces together. And finally, for our handles, all you need to do is thread the screw through. To start assembling the shoulder rig, you want to start off with your base plate and 2 of your rods. Make sure that the screws on the bottom of the base plate or of the rod spacers are loosened, and you want to slide in your rods. If you see that the screws are a little tight, just loosen them a little bit so that the rods can slide in nicely. Even it out on the table. And there you go. So at least this is step 1. Then what you want to do is you want to get your perpendicular assembly, and you want to slide this to wherever side you want to be the front. So in my case, I want this side to be the front, the far end. So I'm going to slide this here. Same thing. If you notice that the screws and the rod spacers are too tight, loosen them up. That should allow you to slide the assembly on. You want to even it out again on a flat surface. Once you have done that, you want to tighten the screws on the perpendicular assembly. This way, your rods will stay in place whenever you try to attach something else. So we want to move the base plate a little bit on above, and then we want to get our shoulder pad assembly, go towards the back and attach it like this. Once you've done that, go ahead and tighten the screws. Afterwards, you want to get your third 15mm rod and you want to insert it through this perpendicular assembly. Again, you want to make sure that the screws tightening the rod are loose, and then you can go ahead and slide the rod in. You want to eyeball it something close to the middle, and then you want to get your handles, loosen these up a little bit, and you're going to slide them on to the perpendicular rod. You want to leave some space on the edge, that way they can get a full grip. Then you want to lay down the shoulder rig and then press on the handles down, and that way you can have a that way you can have both handles be even and not one is crooked in relation to the other. So once you have that, you want to tighten these screws. And there you have it. This is the assembled shoulder rig. You can tighten the screws on the perpendicular assembly. That way the bar doesn't like sway like this, but that is up to your personal choice. As a final note, we want to take into consideration the fact that this shoulder rig is made out of plastic. Therefore, we want to have a reasonable expectation on the amount of weight that this device can handle. And as long as you keep that in mind, you should be able to get the most out of this 3D printed device.